Welcome to a football show, Thursday edition, afternoon edition, week 2 of Titans training camp edition. That is Nick Suss of the Tennessean. Pay for good journalism over at thetennessean.com. I am Braden Gall. We are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages, a great, award-winning, amazing local business that you should support. And hopefully, Saturday night, you can come out and hang out with us at Basement East to celebrate Sinkers' second annual 40th birthday party. If you'd like to get into the comments section, please do so. We'll have time to answer your questions if there's a player or a position group. We would like to get your questions answered today on the show. We have a lot to discuss. Cam Ward threw touchdowns today. He had a better week this week than last week. We'll get into his progression. We'll get into the receiving core and what they're doing. We'll get into the injuries that may have taken place today or this week as 3 players sort of came back from, went out with, might be dealing with small issues. It's that time of year in training camp. We got a scrimmage coming up on Friday night and a trip to San Francisco next week. So a lot of stuff to get to. Nick, good afternoon, sir. At 3 o'clock on a Thursday. How are you?
Yeah, to quote no one, this is a lyric I'm making up in the spot. It was a hot one, like 7 inches from the midday sun, etc. It was hot today, and I'm still hot because I just got back inside. But yeah, very fun. Like Braden mentioned, please, if you have specific questions about anything, practice-related, Titans-related, this would be a good opportunity for y'all to just throw stuff out because we're out at practice. We're seeing it all. We know what we think you guys care about. We know what we think you guys are interested in. Please guide the conversation as much as you can today because we got topics. But if there's something that's kind of like stuck in your craw, let us know.
Like what Titans correlate to what Muppet characters, right?
Sure. Link Hogthrob. I think I remember which one that is, but I will not pretend to be.
Link Hogthrob sounds like a name on a website you shouldn't be visiting at work.
Probably not. Yeah, but I said it on the podcast 2.5 minutes in. Thanks for the question. I am not the Muppet expert that you would expect. I love the Muppets. I have long advocated for the next time that College Game Day is in Mississippi, the Muppets should be the guest pickers. We got to stop trying to make it like Katy Perry and stuff.
The old ones, though, right? Like the old 2 guys in the balcony, right? Those are the 2 guys.
Statler and Waldorf should be there, but
sure.
Kermit, Gonzo, Miss Piggy, and Fozzie should be the guest pickers on College Game Day.
They come out from underneath a tent where there's a chandelier and they're hanging there and yelling from the balcony, throwing shrimp at people. It'd be great. Okay. Ten Soul says, Nick doing his best Noah Khan cosplay I see before Halloween. Ed says, Nick, I'm looking forward to your San Francisco substation article. I can get down
Fine.
with that.
Fine.
Nick, can you live stream the entire scrimmage for those of us abroad? The Muppets lore runs deep, says Bustin. What are the team's plans to avoid the power substation's thirst for blood and souls in San Francisco?
Guys, this will come up on Sunday, I guess.
It didn't affect the U.S. men's national team. It won't affect the Titans. It's fine.
Two teams that are equally apt at disappointing people who believe in them so far. We'll see if one can do less of that than the other.
Coach Wills, how you doing? The best feeling in the world is hearing Cam is getting better at the boring. We're going to talk about this because you and I and PK had an interesting conversation before practice started about sort of like how our coverage, we're trying to be honest about our coverage, but how the past, of course, affects the current and how we're trying to describe the current. It was a very interesting conversation. We also talked about Derrick Henry, which we're going to talk about today on the show. PK had his traditional snarky comment and commentary about conversations. Comments about comments is, of course, PK's specialty. Cat toys and substations. There we go. Tinfoil helmets. There we go. Guys, how has the interior offensive line look? Says Belvis. Let's start there. Right there. That's a good example of how we can begin this process. There we go.
Let's do it. How has the interior offensive line looked? I do not think there is a competition at center. I have not thought there was a competition at center for quite a while now, and I think Austin Schlottmann has the job. I actually really liked Austin Schlottmann's answers today at the podium when I and some other people were peppering him about, well, did you instigate the fight with Jeff on Tuesday? And he said a lot of words, but none of the words he said were no. So I thought that was fun. This is a guy who likes to compete, who understands the offense. I think that at a certain point, all of the conversations about, he's familiar with the scheme totally become an invalid excuse by the time you hit like week 2 of the season. They've been prepping. The coaches have been in place since January. At a certain point, if somebody can't learn an offense in 9 months, they're not cut out to be a starter in the pros. But you can also say that the reps are invaluable for a young team that's trying to learn around them. So at center, Yeah, that's looked fine. At the guard spots, the fact that we have not brought up Peter Skoronski once, positively or negatively, this entire camp, probably is a good indicator of the fact that he just goes about his job.
It's very much like referees. If you do not talk about the officials after a sporting event, it means they did their job.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I have to say about Skoronski. And then on the right side, it is a I have been saying this a lot. I would say that 1% of precincts are reporting when it comes to the right guard competition.
Yeah, I see what you did there on election day. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Go vote, by the way, you guys. You have 4 hours to go vote in Davidson County. If you're in Davidson County, go vote, please.
I want very, very little is back on this competition. I think that they are testing everything, and I mean everything. It's not just Slater versus Volson. I think Fernando Carmona is going to get a shake at this. I think that if they bring in other people, they're going to give them a shake at this. I don't think they are settled on one thing or the other. I've said it before on this show. I do believe it is their preference that the job ultimately lands in the hands of somebody that they drafted so they can draft and develop that guy. I believe that is the Titans' preference and philosophy at almost every position. So especially there where you have an open competition with 2 guys that you've drafted in the last 2 years, it would be their preference that one of them works out. But they're also going to do the best thing for the team.
I have seen 4 different players run with the ones, I believe. Maybe 3 for sure. I thought I saw a 4th. Here's my question. How many players will get a start at right guard in the season? Not the preseason, because they're all going to play. But in the regular season, what's the over-under on total games started at total different players? I think you could put the over-under at 3.5.
I would say that's kind of where I was gravitating. Yeah. That 2.5 is the soft over-under, 3.5 is the hard over-under.
That's right.
And I would take the over on 2.5, and I might take the under on 3.5. 3 feels like a lot of right guards in one season. If you get to 4, that is a rotating door. Yep. But none of this is to say that that these guys have played poorly. I just haven't seen anybody do anything that makes me think, oh, he needs to be the starting right guard. And we'll see that more when you're in joint practices, especially when you're going against Seattle and the defensive front that they have. We've only had one set of one-on-ones in Titans practice, and we've talked a lot last week and probably all offseason about how good this Titans defensive front is. It's not a surprise that those guys are getting a push against an unsettled offensive line, but I want to see more face-to-face reps for these guys before I make a judgment.
I think this week with pads, I've seen more moments where I would say that was a well-blocked running play, because it's hard to do. Yeah. It's hard to do that in just what you're seeing, and the drills are not set up to truly analyze how well blocked something is. But if you see a running back sort of hit a hole and pick up 4 yards right away, right off a quick trap or whatever it might be, then you can kind of say, okay, they did their job off the snap. After that, it's hard to see what's really unfolding. But I would argue even today they ran a goal line snap where they ran the ball right into the end zone in like the A gap or whatever. And it's like, okay, that was a well blocked play especially in the interior of the offensive line. Gavis says, have they been running any trick plays on offense like hook and ladders or flea flickers? This is going to be very difficult for us to say. However, all the fans that were there have seen this play. And so I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it or not, but here's what I would say. I did a long conversation with James Foster over the summer, deep diving into Brian Daboll's offense. We did an entire episode on the Hot Read podcast and on the YouTube page about this. And he has, among NFL coordinators, Brian Daboll's offense has a lot more plays where someone other than the quarterback touches the football in the backfield. And I don't mean handoffs. I mean handling the football like a quarterback to some degree. And we have seen that. I think that's the best I can do without violating anything, right?
Yeah, I
also fans saw it, which is also frustrating.
Yeah, I will plead the fifth a little bit, but I will say there's going to be fun in this offense. Yeah. There are going to be players who you think play one position who are going to move around a little bit. There are going to be players who get the opportunity to do some fun things, and there are going to be plenty of things that you're smart enough to not show the media.
Right.
So
right.
Anything that we've seen so far, think of it as base installation. If there's something that's specific to a defense they play, and trick plays a lot of the times are this. I'm sure some of you guys know this, but sorry to reiterate something that you guys already know. Game plans are bespoke Game plans are based off of the defense you're facing. A lot of the times a trick play gets installed because you know it will be effective against a specific defense or against something that your opponent is susceptible to. So will they learn how to run a flea flicker or a hook and ladder or whatever you're describing? Every team toys around with that. But the specific packages and the specific personnel is going to be more specific to the opponent.
Tensol says, are the Jeffery Simmons fighting remarks overblown, or will he fist fight everyone if they underperform? Here's how I would read Jeffery Simmons. He is a competitor and loves playing defensive tackle. and with defensive tackle comes lots of physicality, lots of altercations, lots of pushing and shoving. And he is always the first one out there. On Monday when we got pads on for the first time, he is the first guy out there before anyone else on the defense, and he is clearly energized to be in the situation, which is, I'm going to hit other people hard and play the game of football. So he's just wired that way, and he enjoys that. I think Schlottman is wired that way. They are literally head up on each other all the time. And when that happens in football, you're going to occasionally get under each other's skin from time to time. On a given play, maybe you misplaced a hand, maybe you stepped on a guy's foot. Like sometimes it's accidental, right? But These are major competitors, and I might be able to make the case, Nick, that this particular week of full pads being the first week has been almost boring from an altercation standpoint. Yeah. Like Elic Ayomanor got into it like on Tuesday with a few people, but like a couple of pushing and shovings. You had the first team drill on Monday where they kind of got into it, like J.C. Latham and Winston got into it, and then Schlottman and Simmons have pushed a little bit. But honestly, I don't think I've seen anything that rises to the level of like an actual news story of any kind.
Yeah, it's been. I don't want to use the word boring because I don't want to tell the people who are listening to this that what we're seeing is boring. It has been a mostly uneventful camp by the stretch of things that we didn't expect to see happening.
I think by design, I'll be honest. Yeah. I think Robert Saleh is doing this by design.
Yeah. And so we can let's talk more about specifics because we don't need to talk about vibe.
Let's keep going here. A couple more of these. I want to get through some of these questions before we get to Cam Ward. Nick, do you think James Williams could be used as the tight end eraser role like Dan Cruikshank was? I think you need to imagine him closer to the line of scrimmage.
Do you guys remember every single podcast, every single show that Braden and I did from like January through April, where I kept over and over again saying, you don't need to pick Sonny Styles. Literally anyone can play linebacker in this defense.
Are you going into your linebacker spiel now?
No, that's the whole spiel.
Okay.
All the linebackers look good, right? Like every linebacker we're seeing looks good right now. Cedric Gray in this defense looks like he could be the second best player on the team behind Jeffery Simmons. I was talking about this with Ramon Foster today. We were just raving about how natural he looks in this defense. Cody Barton's making plays. Mohamed Diabate is making plays. Dorian Mausey is making plays. Anthony Hill is making plays. James Williams is making plays, and it's exciting because he has 2 picks, I want to say. Anthony Hill, I think, has 3 picks.
James Williams has made the most plays.
Yeah, he's made a lot of plays. Diabate is all over the field. He's going to be ahead of James Williams on the depth chart. So that's 3 guys for sure that you know with Cody Barton and with Cedric Gray. Anthony Hill, as the second-round pick that this regime drafted, is going to be favored over him. So that's 4 linebackers you can already feel pretty confident are going to be ahead of him on the pecking order. I shouldn't say depth chart, on the pecking order. And then you can keep 6 linebackers. There's nothing wrong with keeping 6 linebackers, but then you have James Williams and Dorian Mausey who are competing for that 5th spot on the pecking order. And Saleh has already said that special teams is going to be the ultimate tiebreaker when it comes to players who are at the fringe of the roster. And we know that Dorian is one heck of a special teams player. So I'm not sitting here saying that I'm unimpressed by James Williams. I'm really impressed by James Williams. But I'm also at a point where if James Williams doesn't make the 53, I would not be shocked simply because of roster math. They could keep 6 linebackers very easily and use James Williams everywhere. But if they only keep 5 linebackers, I could easily see him being on the outside looking in too. And it's just the way that you have to weigh dynamics this year, this time of year. There's nothing against James on that.
I would also put James Williams, if you said, what's an alternative role you could use him in, a.k.a. dropping him into coverage to mark up on tight ends, or blitzing the quarterback, I would lean towards coming after the quarterback is a more likely role. They really like his quickness and his ranginess and his length off the edge, I think. So, see, I think he's going to be used in a lot of different ways, but special teams will probably dictate whether or not he is on the active roster.
And he's a good special teams player. Don't get me wrong. He's also just he has had reckless moments on special teams in his career.
Yeah.
And this regime sometimes likes that and sometimes shies away from that.
Right. Is Tajay's role increasing or just changing to fit his skill set more? I think Pollard and Spears complement each other, and Brian Daboll will deploy them in a lot of variety of ways, but with those complementary skills in mind.
I think his role will increase if he plays 17 games. Like,
right.
You got to trust that he's on the field, but he has impressed me this camp with what he's willing to try.
Yeah. Let's see here. Can you compare winners and losers in Weezer songs for us? Training camp. You get like 10 seconds.
I've got a full geek corner about Weezer and the Titans, but I'll save that for the end of the show.
Okay. Saleh said he will not have 5 solidified until preseason week 3. I assume he's talking, Belvis is here talking about the offensive line.
Correct.
Coach Wills, Pete is peanut butter and jelly. Not to drag hockey into this, but you tell that the Preds players are not being able to learn an offense. This is hard to follow here, Tinsel. How has the 3 starting cornerbacks looked in camp so far, and has it raised or lowered your expectations for them this year? Nick came into camp, I'll speak for you just to back you up here, with pretty high expectations the first week of, hey, this starting group could be pretty good. I think so far, here's what I would say about Taylor and Flott, and I think to some degree Harris we had fewer questions about. I think we were kind of more excited about him. I had more questions personally about Flott and Taylor, more from a health standpoint and a depth standpoint than the two of them specifically. I think they have been one of the more pleasant surprises of camp. I think they've been very effective. They've been sticky. They are rangy. They're not the biggest dudes in the world who are going to come up and blast running backs in the run game, but I think they have been very, very good and doing their jobs quite well.
Yeah, I don't think either of them are afraid to get their hands on the ball. I think that they're both going to take gambles to go for the ball, which is something that you can probably get away with a little bit more when you've got somebody like Kevin Winston who is running like a rocket back there to hit the guys if you miss on the ball. I really like what I've seen from Alontae Taylor so far. I think he's done a really good job of getting his hands on the ball in situations where it was a 50-50 and against a Titans receiving core that we all think is pretty solid. He's played well. Cordell Flott, I've seen a little bit less out of, but I really like his movement skills. I really like his length on the perimeter. And I also think that when he's had the opportunity to jam up at the line of scrimmage, that has not been a weakness yet. I think he's acquitted himself fairly well from what I've seen, just one person's eye. Marcus Harris, I do not know. I don't know. I was just talking about this with my colleague Gentry Estes before I left practice. I don't know. I really don't know what Marcus Harris is going to be. I really do think that if there's one spot on this team that I would like to see some sort of competition for, just to see if Marcus Harris, I just don't know what the depth is. I don't know what the alternative is. Yeah. You can use Tony Adams as a big nickel. I've seen people bring up James Williams as a big nickel. I'm sure we can talk about Anthony Hill or Mohamed Diabate or any of these people as big nickel options. But
does Diabate even count as a big nickel? I think he's like the same size as Kevin Winston.
But nevertheless, I want to see a little. It's not that I'm not seeing good from Marcus Harris. I feel like I'm repeating myself. It's that I don't notice him flash. I take notes on every single play, and I can't remember the last time I wrote down like 26 good or bad, which sometimes that's what you want, but I don't know.
That's right. If you could be dominant on one side of the line of scrimmage, are you picking offense or defense? I think defense gives you from Ed Henry, I think defense gives you, if you're talking about this Titans team, it's a far better chance that the defensive line is dominant. If you're talking about football in general, I think that the defensive line dominance gives you a chance to win more games over the course of a season, but that having a dominant offensive line gives you a better chance to win in any given moment. Does that sound right? I know that's weird in my brain, but does that make any sense at all?
What Braden is trying to say, and he's the first person to ever have this thought, is that offense wins games and defense wins championships. And I think he just came up
trademarked that. Yeah.
He just came up with that. He's the original. If the question is which one would I personally rather have, I would rather have a dominant offensive line. But I think that this team, by the way it was built, is going to have a more dominant defensive line. And those are the two things I'd love to have. You win in the trenches, you're going to be really tough to stop. Yep. Look at the last 2 Super Bowls. Look at what Philly did to Kansas City 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, and look at what Seattle did to New England last year in the Super Bowl. If you got one game with one dominant defensive front, you can beat anybody.
Tensol says, how much do the Titans let Levis play to advertise him and let him prove that he's not they're not 32 better quarterbacks than him? I think that I don't know if he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks on earth right now. Right now. He might be in the future, and he might have been in the past. I don't know about right now.
Yeah, I think that he's going to get a lot of play in the preseason, and I think Hendon Hooker is going to get a lot of play in the preseason. I think by design, the reps in this training camp are devised to give more opportunities in games to people who are not getting that many opportunities in practice. So the people who are getting fewer reps on the field during joint practices and during training camp are going to be the ones you see the most of during the preseason games. So if you're sitting there holding your breath, how good is Jalen McMurray really going to be? Check out the preseason game against San Francisco next week.
Ed Henry asked the question, did Winston cross the line today, or was it a normal collision with Ayomanor? So this gets us into some news we actually do want to talk about. I do want to talk about Cam Ward, but the injury today, so Dan Moore kind of limped off a very light limp yesterday when he left. He kind of walked right in front of us. He was back today completely fine, it appears. Elic Ayomanor at the very end of practice going up for a pass in the end zone right, collided with Winston, was down for a minute. He kind of gets up, favoring a shoulder. They walk off. He's going to be treated for all of that. John Franklin Myers left, and I believe it was sort of back spasm-ish, I think is what they explained. Yeah. What do you the collision, how did you read the collision? It was very, very far away from us.
I thought it was a football play.
Yeah.
Usually you do not see football plays in practice, so we might clutch pearls of just, was it necessary? But that's the kind of hit that happens in a football game. And that's the kind of hit that Kevin Winston's going to make the team better because he's willing to make. Robert Saleh said he really appreciated the play, the ranginess, the ability to get from where he started to where the ball was. I agree that it was very impressive from Winston, and it's indicative of his talent that he was able to make that play. I wouldn't say he crossed a line, but I would say that there are many preseason practices where that sort of hit would not be encouraged. I do not necessarily think the Titans are running that right now.
He also enjoys going as close to the line as humanly possible, whether it's OTA, minicamp, training camp, pads, or otherwise. He likes to play that way, and I think that's how they want him to play in games. Yes. Do the corners play one side or switch? I believe they've been playing on the same side. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, I'll defer because I haven't noticed. I genuinely haven't thought to look at that. Next week, remind us. I'll look for it I'll say.
Again, I don't know if we're allowed. I mean, I think Cordell Flott's on the left most of the time. I think. Okay. Hockey. Let's see here. As I'm scrolling through a lot of comments. Great job by you guys, by the way. Sinkers Beverages on Saturday night, Basement East after Oktoberfest. It is going to be hot. You're going to need some air conditioning, and please come hang out with us. $15, 3 bands. Going to be a lot of fun. Some 440 people, some Sinkers people, some football show people. Going to have all kinds of stuff going on. 3 different bands. Tickets are $15. It's all for a good cause. So come on and hang out at Basement East on Saturday night to celebrate Sinkers Beverages birthday party. Let's see here. If I miss any of your comments, I just want to apologize.
Yeah.
So
can I answer a question that Ten asked earlier about the Akron thing?
All right, hang on. Let me go see if I can find it.
3:21 p.m. on the timestamp.
All right, go ahead. Is this it right here? If you let if the Titans let you call a first play like Akron is doing, what would you call for the Titans?
When I was in high school, I came up with a terrible football idea called Shark. This is what I would run. It's called Shark. If you can tell the 2 guards are pulling opposite directions of each other, and the quarterback has to read the defensive tackles based off of what happens on the opposite pulling guards.
What could go wrong?
Quarterback can scramble to his right, where he has a flood pattern with a drag, a corner, and an out route, or he can run a speed option with the running back who's playing behind him, all to his avail. If he goes left, he has an option route from his number 1 receiver, who's either running a curl or a go route, depending on the coverage, and he can keep it himself. That's what I would do, because I came up with that play when I was a freshman in high school, and I used to run it all the time on NFL Head Coach 2009 to middling success. That's what I would run.
You better be careful running to the left. if you have to read until you got no help, you got 7 receivers going to the right, nobody going with you to the left, barely even a blocker. Just be careful, quarterback.
That's your last read.
You keep it.
It's your last choice, but you got to pull in guard who's protecting you.
Sure. Shark.
It's called Shark. I came up with it in 2008 or whatever, and I still know how to draw it up.
My favorite play of all time was my favorite route that I ran growing up, and I still think to this day it is the most uncoverable route on a football field, and that's a smash route, which is largely a deep corner route. If you can get the corner sucked up to the line of scrimmage, especially if you're playing against zone coverage, there's no chance a safety can get to an outside. If you're outside shouldering it towards the sideline and the ball is delivered properly, it's almost uncoverable. It is my favorite route in the route tree.
My actual favorite play in football, jokes aside, is a slant wheel combination with a swing route behind it. So you have your outside receiver running a slant, your slot receiver running a curl wheel behind him, and your running back following behind with a swing pattern. That way you have three people, and you can bust cover 1, cover 2, and cover 3 with it. Just my favorite concept. It's basic root stuff. But that's my actual favorite play, if anybody cared about that.
He says, Joey says, I know you were thinking about Michael Vick when you came up with that play. So.
No, I was thinking about my own high school offense.
Which was a triple option offense, right?
We ran a wing T veer offense, but my freshman year, I went to a different school and we ran the spread. So I was
10 says, is it called Shark because it's a bloodbath for the defense, or that the quarterback becomes chum? Which one is it? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I just called it Shark because that's a cool word, right? Like I was 13. I call things Shark because
there cool. was no real answer.
No, it's called Shark. That's a cool thing to call a football play, right?
I guess.
Go out there and run Shark.
I feel like it needs to. I feel like it needs to relate to something, though. No.
Yeah, it could if you want to. If you want to, but in my 13-year-old mind, it was called Shark because that's the coolest thing you could call a cool football play.
I thought for sure it was a Saturday Night Live reference.
There is a land shark sketch that's very, very famous. But no, it was called Shark because that's cool as hell.
Okay, all right. Okay, Cam Ward, everybody. Let's talk about Cam Ward. So, first of all, on Monday, and PK and I talked about this a little bit, I think he had his best day of practice at that point. He had his best day of practice. He also threw 2 interceptions, which we talked ad nauseum about on Monday's episode. So go back and check that out. How do you feel today? I think they got to one team drill near the end of practice, and he threw a touchdown pass to Carnell Tate down the field. He threw another touchdown pass to Daniel Bellinger with a nice touch throw. They scored another touchdown. They basically scored 3 straight touchdowns. They didn't do a lot today in terms of pushing offense or defense. Like, it was, to your point, relatively uneventful. I think it is very clear that this week of practice with full pads and with the way that he plays the game, which is far more gamer in sort of like when the pads come on and when the lights go on and when the play is out there and the bullets are flying, as they say, that Cam Ward is comfortable, and that is where he enjoys being in the play. And so I think that was clearly apparent this week, where he looked better, felt more comfortable, and was more productive this week than last week. Are there any details that you want to dive into from this week relative to last week about Cam Ward and his progress?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start broadly with, on this show last week, I put out a plea into the world to please do something. And this week, Cam has checked that box. So thank you, Titans, and thank you, Cam Ward. Something has happened. I would say the main thing I've seen this week that feels different than last week and that feels different than OTA's minicamp, whatever you want to say, is that I'm starting to see Cam make plays and attempt plays that I think actually are going to be things we see him do in season. And that's not to say that he's not going to make check down passes and not to, play the simple take what the defense gives you game. But I think that understanding Cam Ward and understanding Brian Daboll and understanding what this offense is trying to be is to understand that he's going to have to create. That even if they think Cam doesn't need to be Superman, he should want to be Superman. And what I'm starting to see in these moments is that Cam's confidence and Cam's understanding of his own confidence has morphed from, I have to do this because it's the only option, to, I have to do this because I can. And other people are going to do what they can. And this offense is going to be built around people doing as much as they can all the time. And that, I know this is going to sound treacly, so I'm sorry, but if the Titans succeed, it's not going to be because the play did as much as it could have, but it's going to be because the players did as much as they could have. and that the players are going to succeed because the play put them in position to do what they're capable of. So people saying, oh, Cam was on fire today, Cam did this, Cam did that. I wouldn't go that far, but I would say Cam today was expressing the version of Cam Ward that is going to be the version of himself he needs to be in order to reach his potential. How high is his potential? There are other shows on the 440 Sports Network that will debate that concept ad nauseum. I'm not going to tell you specifically what I think his ceiling is. I don't think that's instructive at this moment. But I think that when I see him throwing to the back corner of the end zone from inside the pocket without hesitation, when I see him stepping up from a pass rush and finding his backside A gap so that he can escape and hit somebody downfield on a crossing route, when I see these sorts of things, which are both things that happened today, that's me saying, oh, that's the version of Cam Ward that's going to succeed in this league. And I'm seeing more of that. I'm not necessarily saying I'm seeing it every down, but I'm seeing enough more of that to think, okay, if he plays this way, and if he is allowed to play this way, and if he's not constantly playing from behind, and if he's not constantly playing on his back, yeah, this could work.
A lot of ifs. A lot of those sentences started with if. Here's the thing. Like, there was a series today that is the one we've been talking about. That it felt like Cam Ward having fun to some degree. There was one where he scrambled on I think it was designed quarterback run, and to some degree, and he scored a touchdown, I believe. I couldn't see where the pylon was, but I don't know what your notes say about that particular play, but I
thought he scored.
I thought he scored a touchdown, and it was on the heels of 2 touchdown passes and then a touchdown run, and then they score again. And that's the one series where you look at it and you felt like they, if you watch soccer and you watch the World Cup, so much of soccer is about vibe, right? It's about confidence inside the game changing. And while that affects other sports, it's just not the same as it is in soccer. It felt like that possession, that series, Cam Ward was so confident that they were going to be successful in almost everything they did. And those are the moments you want to see from him. You want to see where he's out there, he's confident, he's having fun, he understands how the play is supposed to work, and he executes it relatively well. And what I really liked about one of those throws, in particular to Daniel Bellinger, was that he had to really put touch on a very difficult outbreaking route, and it was a very good throw. And maybe it needs to be a little bit more this or a little bit more that, and it wasn't exactly perfect, but it worked really well, and it wasn't a 3-step drop, fire a football over the middle kind of deal, which is what we know he's very good at. And this was a different type of play and a different type of throw.
Yeah, and my favorite play that I alluded to was a couple of snaps later. It was after the Elic injury. There was pressure in Cam's face. I think Jeff got through pretty quickly. And Cam had to step up and escape through a backside gap, and he had to keep his eyes downfield. And instead of doing what he did on Monday and throw back across his body and make a poor decision, he found Wan'Dale Robinson sneaking across the defense, and he waited for the layer to come where it needed to be. And then he found Wan'Dale Robinson on like the 4-yard line or something and let his player make a play. He didn't try and throw him into the end zone. He didn't try to find somebody too deep. He didn't just rear back and throw it as hard as he could. Yeah. He made the productive play because the productive play was there, and it was a hard play to make. And like, I'm not going to sit here and say every play looks like that. There are moments where he'll sail a throw to the sideline, and I'm just still confused why such an easy touch throw doesn't come naturally to a starting NFL quarterback. But then there are plays like this that make me think, oh, I would definitely take missing on the 4-yard gain if you're going to hit the 20-yard gain instead of hitting every 4-yard gain and missing on the 20-yard gain, because that's where you get into game manager territory. That's where you get into guy who is only out there to not make mistakes territory. And Cam has said from day one that he is comfortable making mistakes. Yeah. And let's test that theory.
Zach Lyons, good to see you, my guy. Definitely scored from the angle, he says. Let's discuss sort of the thing that we were talking about before practice really got underway today. Manzana says here, he looked comfortable in week 1 last year, Cam Ward did. Even behind this offensive line and with Brian Callahan, I have to imagine the experience this new staff brings would manifest some confidence in year 2. First of all, no coaching staff needs to manifest any confidence in Cam Ward. That's a thing that he was born with, I imagine, and just has. As Robert Saleh did an interview after the fact with NFL Network, I believe, he's just like, yeah, he's a dog. He's a total dog, and we want to have that kind of quarterback. Here's the thing. You and I and Paul were talking before this, and essentially the gist of our thesis and all of this, maybe just yours, that we agreed with, is that it is going to be very difficult to discuss Cam Ward's progress and his growth and what is working and what is not working this year without the backstory and the background of what happened last year and Brian Callahan, Nick Holes, and that system and that scheme and the differences and the evolution and the change. It's going to be very difficult if something happens this year that looks more like Cam Ward being freed up to be Cam Ward.
Yeah.
It is going to be hard to talk about that without everyone in the media and in the fans thinking through what did that mean under the previous regime. And it's not inaccurate, but it is not all the way fair either, right?
Yeah, I don't think that Cam Ward's successes or failures need to continue to be blamed or attributed to Brian Callahan. But I do think that every single thing we're going to see, especially in the early going of the season, is going to be described in contrast to how it looked previously. And that's Mike McCoy, and that's Bo Hardigree, and that's Brian Callahan, and that's Nick Holtz. So what will be the fundamental major difference? We've been talking about this since May. It's going to be a question of last year's philosophy was rooted in take what the defense gives you. And this year's offense is rooted in take what we tell you to take, or take what you're supposed to take. I think that there are overwhelmingly positive examples of both philosophies working in the modern NFL. You do not have to look very far to understand that Peyton Manning is arguably the greatest quarterback who ever lived, and that Tom Brady is arguably the greatest quarterback who ever lived, and that Drew Brees is arguably the greatest quarterback who ever lived, whichever one you want to pick.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is in the other bucket, so I haven't talked about it.
Oh, sorry.
But you can talk about those three guys who were the paragons of a generation who all succeeded in large part because they took what the defense gave them, because they understood what the defense gave them.
I'm going to call that style of offense and that style of quarterback 90s country. You'll see where I'm going with this.
I respect it.
I'm going to call that 90s country. Keep going.
And then you can look at let's call it Brett Favre and his descendants. So Favre, Mahomes, and Rodgers here as the kind of antithesis of that.
Fran Tarkenton and his descendants.
Yeah. The not just the gunslinger, because I wouldn't say Aaron Rodgers is a gunslinger. He's just incredibly effective at taking what he wants to take. I know what's going to work and I'm going to do it. Yeah. Doesn't matter what the defense is giving me. Patrick Mahomes early in his career was the best ever to do this. Later in his career, Patrick Mahomes has defaulted a little bit more as the talent around him is eroded. But Rodgers and Mahomes and Favre and Josh Allen and a lot of these great quarterbacks that we've seen in the modern era have been a little bit more rooted in the I'm going to take for myself. And what are you going to call that?
What do you think we should call this one?
I thought you had something set up.
Football jazz.
Football jazz. Okay.
So 90s country, which to me is very formulaic. It's 3 chords and 3 chord progressions and going back to the same thing over and over again. And this, to me, as I think about it through my musical taste, that this is jazz. There is a creativity to it. There is the defense might give me something on this play, and then the next play it's the same arrangement, but it's giving me something different, and I'm going to do something different because I can.
Yeah.
And
it's like
so
a comparison for those of you who are not music heads. Have you guys been to a high school basketball game in the last 10, 15 years?
It's been a while.
Like, have you guys been to a high school basketball game since Steph Curry became Steph Curry?
Ooh.
And now you have, because like when you were growing up and when I was growing up, like the cocky players on the basketball team wanted to show that they can dunk. And now they want to show that they can shoot from
that's true.
the half court. And it's all about what you're raised on. And the Aaron Rodgers version of football that I think Coach Will said it, that Aaron Rodgers birthed this generation. Cam plays much more in the Rodgers, Mahomes, Caleb Williams, whatever you want to call this camp, the Jazz camp.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield is...
Matt Stafford is 90s country. Baker Mayfield is jazz.
I think Baker Mayfield I think Matthew Stafford in Sean McVay's offense is 90s country, whereas Matthew Stafford, when he was with the Lions, might have been a little bit more jazz. And Baker Mayfield.
Did you see that offensive line?
And now Baker Mayfield playing in the Tampa offense that has been so descended from that Sean McVay offense might be a little bit more 90s country. But we can talk more about like Peyton in Denver, I think, is the ultimate example of he had Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders and Julius Thomas, and you couldn't stop all three at once. And he could just say, one of them's going to be open. I know which one's going to be open. I will take... Sorry, I just saw Jordan's comment and laughed too hard at that. Oh, good comment.
Jackson Dart is that dude from Stained.
Aaron something. Aaron
I
Williams,
have not thought about
like that.
Stained in a long time.
Are you saying it's been a while since you thought about Stained?
I see what you did there.
I can't even remember what I was talking about. That has thrown me off. Oh, Peyton Manning. When he had Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Brandon Stokely, he knew one of them was going to be open, and he took which one was open. In Denver, it was the same thing. Brady, always that way. Sometimes that's great. I don't think Cam's that quarterback. And I think that Callahan's offense kind of emphasized that style of quarterbacking. And maybe Cam could have been that guy, but he wasn't last year. And we'll see how he fits in a jazzier system.
Who is the Fred Durst of quarterbacks? That's all I'm thinking about now.
Gosh, we'll think on this. Let us know in the comments who you think is more Fred Durst. Aaron Lewis, that's correct. 10. That is the guy from State. I knew it was Aaron.
I don't know why I could. The first thing I thought with Zach's comment was it has to be whoever's playing for Cleveland. I don't know why, but that's what I felt.
I feel like Fred Durst has to be a quarterback who is way too willing to run the ball. Like, first read is, I'm going to go knock that linebacker up. And so... Yeah,
some chaos. I think there's a chaos element to Limp Bizkit for sure.
I will also say that a couple of weeks ago, I was at a concert for a local
Jameis Winston.
That's
actually pretty good.
That's a fair shout, Rob.
You have no idea where that ball is going to go or where it's going to end up on any given play. So
a couple of weeks ago, I was at a... Will Levis is another good shout.
That's actually not bad.
A couple of weeks ago, I was at a local Nashville concert, and they did a cover of Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and I booed them. I haven't given up on disliking them. I'm not going to get around to ironically liking Limp Bizkit, you guys. I'm not going to be ironic.
I liked the one song because it came out and was very hot in '99 when I was playing football, and it was part of my Bomb Track Rage Against the Machine pump up collection, right? It was Juvenile was on there, make them say it was not music I listen to currently other than Rage Against the Machine.
But screw it, we've had all these people talking about music. I'll throw my Weezer geek corner out there.
All right, go ahead. Go to Sinkers Beverages if you care about music. Come watch music on Saturday night with us at Basement East. Come on.
The first ever geek corner we did on this show was because a reader and listener, loyal listener, sent me a full list of stats on how the Oilers-Titans organization always stinks in years that end in 4, 5, and 6. If you guys recall this, I have the numbers written down in front of me. All time, dating back to 1960, in years that end in 4, 5, and 6, the Titans and Oilers are 102 and 213. That is a winning percentage of roughly 32%. In all other years, the Oilers and Titans are 380, 316, and 6. That is a winning percentage of roughly 56%. If you were to look at the Titans in years that end in 0, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, and 9, they are the 9th best winning percentage in NFL history. But if you add in those 4, 5, and 6, the Titans have the 22nd best winning percentage in NFL history. That is how bad they are in the middle of decades. And why do I bring this up in reference to Weezer? Because they have only ever made good music in years that end in 4, 5, and 6. So the two things that I understand the most about in this world, the Tennessee Titans and Weezer. The Blue Album, their classic debut, came out in 1994. Pinkerton, their classic follow-up, came out in 1996. 10 years later, 2005, they make Make Believe, which is a polarizing album, but it features Beverly Hills, their biggest hit of all time. Whether you like it or not, it is substantially their best hit. 2014,
you think it's their biggest hit? Okay, all right.
It's mathematically, it's their biggest hit. Okay. 2014, Everything Will Be All Right in the End, their best comeback record, my personal favorite Weezer record. 2016, the White Album. Critics will call it their best album since the Blue Album. And then this year, just this month, they've released 2 singles that are actually good. What the heck, Weezer? Why can you only be good at the times that Titans are bad? We need to get to the bottom of this conspiracy.
So you don't like the Teal album?
The Teal album,
all covers.
The Teal album is their 3rd worst album on the Nick Suss scale of how bad Weezer albums are. Black Album is worse and Ratitude is worse.
I like the Teal album. It's good music. I like all those songs. And I think Weezer does it better than most of the originals.
I'm stealing this joke, but it's adult bop. It's kids bop for grown-ups. It is adult bop. There's nothing wrong with adult bop.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, that's my quick Weezer geek corner, is that they're going to put out a new album in a couple of weeks and it's going to be good. And that is a harbinger of doom for the Titans because it is fundamentally impossible for the two to coexist. Okay, what were we talking about?
Say it ain't so, Nick. Okay. Weezer steals the Titans' success to channel into music like the Monstar Ball in Space Jam.
Yeah, if you guys,
why do you have this information? Why do you have this information in your brain? I'm going to paraphrase Coach Wills here.
Yeah, good question.
How much water does the Nick Suss personal data center use?
I had a college professor who one time looked at me after I answered a question she asked, and she said, "I don't want to be you." And I'm like, that's fair. Perfect Situation. Good song. Very good song. Their best single of the 2000s. Good call. Good.
Is it like the Green Album is the one that came out after what, like 2001?
2001. Green Album 2001.
Isn't Hashpipe one of their biggest singles ever?
Maybe on the alternative charts. It wasn't a particularly hot performing chart on the Billboard charts. I don't like the Green Album all that much. I think the Green Album is it's candy floss.
Wow, candy. I don't even know these words you're using. You are like a music writer where you put 11 adjectives into one sentence.
I've been watching too much British television. Candy floss, or as we would call it in the United States, cotton candy. It's cotton candy.
Okay. When I think of Weezer, I think of Say It Ain't So, and I think of Hashpipe. Those are the first two I think of. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're good songs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like even that I love them. I'm just saying those are the things that come into my mind, the beats, the rhythm, the songs that come into my mind. So
that's fair.
There you go. Okay, the new Weezer single breaks the fourth wall a bit too much, if that makes sense. Too introspective.
It is a song about how hard it is to be Weezer. Which, you know what? Earlier when that song when that song came out yesterday, and this is the last thing we will say, I talked about it so much that my wife said, "You're giving me the ick again." She's like, when you talk about Weezer, it's fine. But when you start talking about Rivers Cuomo, you give me the ick. And you know what? That's fair. I shouldn't talk about Rivers.
It's hard to come back. It's hard to come back from the ick, man. Hard to come back. You got to be legally married to ever have a chance to come back from the ick. That's the only way it works.
Good call, Daniel Caribbean. Maybe the Fred Durst of quarterbacks is, in fact, Carson Beck.
Oh, okay.
Carson Beck.
Have you seen his internet energy? Absolutely, he's Fred Durst. There's no question about that.
Good call. I think we have a winner there, Daniel. Caribbean.
No more conversation.
Let us know, Daniel. Do you prefer Caribbean or Caribbean?
I did see a Joe Flacco as Dave Matthews Band in the comments, and that's pretty fair. It's Kirk Cousins might give him a run for his money. Kirk Cousins and Joe Flacco together. Dave Matthews.
They are both ants marching from team to team.
Yes, there you go. Well done. Okay, we do have so much more to say here on the show. Sinkers Beverages. Make sure you come out, $15 ticket, 3 bands. You're going to hear all kinds of great stuff, better than all of the Weezer's bad albums. It'll be, but not as good as all of Weezer's good albums. So come on out on Saturday night to Basement East. And come out to the Tomato Fest we're going to be out there hanging out with Tomato. My kids have a float, the whole deal. It's going to be great. So come on out to Tomato Fest, support some good local artists and some good local companies. Sinkers is going to have the Bloody Mary tent, I think, set up there. So come get you a Bloody Mary. I'm a big fan. My wife loves Bloody Marys for me to order so that she can have her 2 sips and then not drink any more Bloody Marys. Okay, what? Now I'm like completely lost by this music conversation. I feel like we had other things to talk about with the Titans. You want to talk about? We've already talked about linebackers.
Yeah.
Here's one, and we could talk about Ayomanor getting hurt a little bit here. We're not sure what the injury is going to be or how long he's out. I assume they're going to be very cautious with him. He has had a good camp. He is playing like a more confident player. I think he came out in OTAs and minicamp more vocal, more of a leadership role, and I think that has played its. We have seen that play out as camp has opened. He got a little feisty. He was kind of taking all comers. I think it was a Tuesday maybe where he was just like kind of chippy with everybody. I think he's got a lot to prove. He and Chim DK have been very good 4 and 5-ish receivers, if that's what you think they are. And I think the receiving core writ large, if Ridley healthy, Carnell Tate maybe is the pure number 1. Wan'Dale Robinson might lead the team in targets. DK and Ayomanor, I think Oliver and Osborne and Restrepo have been solid. I think the whole entire receiving core has sort of proven that our increased expectation and like generally like cautious optimism about this group has been warranted so far to date, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth because we were just talking about how impressed we are with Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flott. So, yes, I think there have been moments where the secondary has won. I think there has been moments where the receivers won. That makes it very difficult to genuinely sit here and parse, is one beating the other? Is this good competition? Is it both groups lowering to the occasion? Is it both groups rising to the occasion? It's tough to parse, and I want to see these joint practices before I make too much of a judgment. But I will say that if you just look at the way the players move, if you just look at the way the routes and the spacing and the way the offense should take advantage of these people, I like the options that the Titans have at receiver, with or without Elic Ayomanor. And look, if Ayomanor's healthy, he's still going to be behind Carnell Tate in the rotation. And the emphasis of this offense is to not cross-train all that much at wide receiver. So that's not to say that you can't have Tate and Ayomanor on the field at the same time, but I don't think Ayomanor is going to come in and play Calvin Ridley's position. DK might. I don't necessarily think that Ayomanor would have. So this injury, however long it goes on for, really does diminish the depth you have behind Carnell Tate, but you're also expecting Carnell Tate to be
on the field all the time.
So yeah. It's not too much of a negative. That said, KJ Osborne can fill a role. Bryce Oliver can fill a role. Restrepo can only fill Wan'Dale Robinson's role, and we know that. But there is more depth on this offense at receiver than I've ever seen from the Titans.
Is it fair to say, because I'm going to play Robert Saleh's clip here from today's press conference about the goals of the scrimmage, so we're going to kind of do that to wrap up the show here. Support Sinkers Beverages, Tennessee, and all the other great shows. I would say, is it fair to say that the defensive line and the receiving core on paper right now through 2 weeks of practice are the best units on each team, on each side of the ball?
You said the defensive line and the receiving core?
If I said the defensive line, again, not like biggest surprise, not going to be the best. And I'm just saying, like, on paper, after seeing a couple of weeks of camp and OTAs, I think the defensive line is the best group of talented football players on defense. And I think I might say the receiving core is the best unit on the offense. That one's a little bit more gray area, but that's kind of how I feel.
I think you'd be right. I would say if we're just ranking total units on the team, I would put the inside backers ahead of the receivers. But I think those are the 3 units that have impressed me the most.
Inside linebackers, defensive line, and receiving core.
Yeah, I'd go D-line 1 still, but I would have the inside linebackers ahead of the receivers.
I think as a group of 8 or whatever, I think it's the most talented group of football players on the team. So that's what I would say. I think Cedric Gray could be a rock star. I don't know about the rest of the linebackers.
Again, to reiterate what I said at the top of the show, this is further confirming what I believed before the start of the season, which is that with how strong the defensive line is, especially with how strong the interior defensive line is, it's going to be very easy to play inside linebacker in this defense. And so I think Cody Barton is going to benefit from it, and I think Diabate is going to benefit from it, and I think Anthony Hill is going to benefit from it, and whoever else makes the team, I believe, is going to benefit from it, and that's what's going to make this group look strong.
I think that's fair. A couple of questions about Xavier Restrepo. He's been, I think, as expected, he's been a dependable player that runs in the slot. Also, Team Ramrod, excellent joke. I don't even want to mention it, but it's an excellent joke. Okay, quickly, let's listen to what the goals are going to be. So we're going to have a little bit of a different schedule coming up next week because the Titans will practice on Tuesday against San Francisco, out in San Francisco, of course, and there'll be one joint practice. Then they'll play on Thursday night. So we're going to have kind of a different lineup next week. I know we've kind of had to adjust the schedule a little bit here now that training camp is here. Nick, you and I are going to be on early next week, and then PK and I will be on late next week to kind of recap the game. So we'll probably have a Friday show with Paul. Nick and I will probably do some stuff earlier in the week to kind of see what happened at camp. But we also have a scrimmage to react to that is going to be at Nissan Stadium on Friday evening. On Saturday night, come out to the Sinkers Beverages party, please. That'll be a lot of fun. Here was Robert Saleh's kind of goals. This is from Paul's video. He sent this to me, so we're going to play that. Here was Robert Saleh today talking about the goals in the scrimmage.
It'll be it's similar to what we did in OTAs at the end of minicamp. There's nothing live. We'll play move the ball. We'll implement special teams. It'll flow like a game. Offense, if it's fourth and whatever, you'll see punts, you'll see touchdowns, you'll see field goals, you'll see extra points, you'll see kickoffs, kickoff coverage. So you're going to see basically the flow of the game, but it's offense versus defense. One offense versus one defense, two offense versus two defense. We do have a full scoring system that to try to keep it competitive, but we're trying to make it as game-like as possible to see if we can get to. We're trying to get to about 90 plays total, so it'll be a pretty good day.
So again, Nick, what can we expect on Friday night? I think everything Robert Saleh does is trying to simulate his team's environment in the season. I think that is clearly what he's trying to do here. 90 plays is a lot. It is scheduled to start, I believe, at 6:30 and run until 9, I believe. So there's going to be way more action potentially than even just a regular practice, but they go about 2 hours regularly. So what do you expect to see? Anything special, anything different? Ones versus ones, twos versus twos. What do you expect to see?
I would say first things first, and let me sell this as properly as possible. Let me get into wrestling promo voice here. You can expect fireworks, because after the game's over, they're going to set off fireworks. So you can expect that. Other than that,
you're ready. You're ready for fatherhood, Nick.
I also am not. I don't do well with fireworks.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like fireworks?
Yeah, I'll tell the story very quick.
Are you like a dog that needs like anxiety medicine on the 4th of July?
When I was 8 or 9 years old, some metal from a firework that was up in the air got in a raindrop, and that raindrop got in my eye, and I had to have surgery, and now I don't do fireworks very much anymore.
You have surgery?
Because exploding sky metal.
Wow.
It probably wasn't surgery. I was 8, but it probably was just like metal in my eye to get metal out of my eye, and I didn't like it very much.
That's
now
scary.
Now I don't like fireworks anymore. I agree. It's pretty scary. What Zach, I wasn't doing a real wrestling voice. I was setting up a joke.
He was mocking all of you wrestling people. That's what he was doing.
What do we expect from this practice? I think that you are going to see a very vanilla version of the most fun version of the Titans. And I know that is incredibly oxymoronic.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
But they are going to do stuff to entertain. They are going to do stuff to sell fans on the Titans. And they're going to try to make this an entertainment product. Robert Saleh alluded to it, that he wants there to be some new marketing slogans and some chants that might be tested out and that sort of thing. Like, this is going to be an opportunity. And I think somebody asked about, is there going to be live video? I don't think there will be live video, but there will be live updating. We'll be tweeting and live blogging and
there'll be
that sort of stuff.
You probably get all kinds of great coverage from the fans.
Yeah. Also, Tennessean.com. We'll have a live blog. Read it. Tennessean.com.
Yeah, but if you want video,
www.tennessean.com.
I'm going to go sit in the stands and just take videos and post them.
But I will say it's still going to be a base heavy attack. So it will be fun. There will be a lot of fun things happening.
I mean,
but I don't think you're going to see the full version of the offense.
Doesn't that just mean deep shots? Like, isn't the best way to be exciting and vanilla at the same time is running go routes? Isn't that the best way to do that? Am I like, no?
It could be. That is a way to be vanilla.
And also exciting.
Sure. Yeah.
Jordan coming in hard here, man. Not to out pedant you, sus, but this season ends in 27, not 26.
And not to out pedant you, Braden, but it's pedant, not
whatever.
Pedant.
It's pedantic. It's pedantic.
I'll be a pedant about pedantry. No, the season only counts as the year that the season starts in.
I also cannot stand. This is worse in college football, where everyone's like, "It's the 2027 national championship." I'm like, no, it's not. No. Just because the game happened in January doesn't mean it's the 2027 national championship.
Nope.
2026, guys.
You're thinking Madden rules instead of what real life rules are, which is that this is the 2026 NFL season.
It's the 2026 Tennessee Titans. When 10 years from now, if you're telling your kids about something, you're going to talk about the 2026 Tennessee Titans. Okay. Why was Derrick Henry so upset about his, like, what happened? What happened to Derrick Henry on the internet?
He loves the Titans, guys.
Yeah,
he just loves the Titans.
Was it the comment? What happened? I missed the whole thing because I saw his tweet. He did an interview. Kay Adams posted something, and then he quote tweeted it. And like, what happened? Tell me what happened.
As far as I know, because if you guys listening to this think that I'm extremely online, you are mistaken. I am extremely on Weezerpedia, as you guys are aware. Extremely on snl-archive.net, the best website on the internet. What happened is that Derrick Henry gave an interview where he said he intends to finish out his playing career as a Baltimore Raven. That was misconstrued as saying he wanted to retire as a Baltimore Raven, which obviously has connotations that are different than finish out your playing career, even though the words are
the
synonyms.
Same. Okay.
And he put out a tweet to clarify that what in fact he wanted was to finish his playing career with the Baltimore Ravens, and retirement will be something he thinks about when it's time to think about retirement, seemingly insinuating that he will sign a one-day contract with the Titans, if at all possible, to retire as a Tennessee Titan, which is a different thing. It's kind of like the whole debate of, what hat are you going to wear in the Hall of Fame? Okay. What hat is going to be on your bust? I don't know. It's a good question. It's fun to make fans happy. But, look, Derrick Henry will be remembered as a Tennessee Titan. Whether or not he is also remembered as a Baltimore Raven is immaterial to the fact that he is probably the best player to ever wear that uniform.
Titans uniform, yeah. What's really odd, in just a very random kind of way, is that you could argue the best quarterback in franchise history, the best receiver in franchise history, and the best running back in franchise history all finished their careers with the Baltimore Ravens or went to the Baltimore Ravens. That's odd to me. It doesn't mean anything at all. It's just odd, Yeah.
LCT, thank you for just randomly quoting your favorite SNL sketch. More people should do that in the comments.
That's me just saying, Aver Nurseries. I don't know what year or who were those people, but the porn stars doing the
Cecily and Vanessa.
Oh my god, it's still one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite modern post 2000 skits of all time. Is them just trying to get jobs as infomercial sales reps.
For whatever it's worth, if people care, my favorite Saturday Night Live sketch of all time is Mike Myers doing Philip the Hypo with Nicole Kidman.
Number one all time, huh?
That is my favorite sketch of all time, followed closely at number 2 by a sketch where Will Forte and Bill Hader were playing cops who had a bullhorn who were trying to talk Paul Rudd off of a ledge, and all Will Forte would say into the bullhorn was, don't. And nothing.
There we
go.
Here's what I feel, Nick, and as usual, thank you so much for your time today. There is no show covering the Tennessee Titans like this one, guys.
You guys
there
keep
just
talking
isn't
about,
one.
If you keep talking about things I like in the comments, I'm going to keep getting distracted and talk about things I like. As much as I care about my job, and as much as I care about the Tennessee Titans, look, if you guys want to do a full hour-long show every single week where I just throw sketch comedy quotes at you and talk about bullcrap indie rock bands. I will do this forever. This is my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. I don't want to do it with you, though, because I'm afraid that all my favorite ones, you're just going to like shit on my opinions.
No,
I'm going to be like, I really like cowbell. And you're going to be like, so does everybody else, loser.
Why would I tell the thing that I want the thing that I want everybody in the world to like? Why would I try and prevent you from liking it?
Okay.
It's awesome.
What was this is the problem I have, though, because I don't have the brain or the time on .net that you do, but there's a Horatio Sands skit where he's just like him and Jimmy Fallon just laugh every time. They couldn't keep from laughing.
Unfortunately, that narrows it down to all of the sketches the two of them were in together. I imagine that you're talking about the Cork Soakers sketch.
Is it? No, it's the Antonio Banderas. I'm Antonio Banderas. I don't know why that one sticks in my mind. I have very random modern ones that stick in my mind. All the ones that I love are from that era that you always talk about. Like, if you watched it when you were in middle school and high school, that's your favorite chunk of time. And the ones I really remember are all the ones Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry doing cheerleaders. Like, those are the ones I remember.
And unsurprisingly, it seems like the people in the comments are roughly your age.
Probably.
We got a lot of Will Ferrell fans in the comments, and that's great. I've got Will Ferrell's best of DVD on the wall behind me right
Honestly, the Hutub at the Wellesley Arms Motel with Drew Barrymore is one of the best skits of all time. I crave spiced meats.
It's a spectacular sketch. Great behind-the-scenes stories about it. If you ever hear Ferrell and Fallon talk about what Ferrell was doing under the water in the hot tub.
Yeah. Oh, my back! My back!
Ed Henry, probably older than the average audience member, going with a great Eddie Murphy sketch. Spectacular. Again, in the off-season, guys, if you want to have like an April show or a June show that is me just
we're in training camp.
If you want me to talk about SNL for an hour, this is what I do every night. And you know what? I talk about Kids in the Hall even more, but that's a little bit too geeky for you guys.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to sit here and make you guys talk about Kids in the Hall with me.
I do love the UPS guy on Mad TV. Or no, was that In Living Color? I can't remember what was the UPS guy.
Yeah.
And then there was the one I've shown my kids is actually Stuart, right? Like the mom with Stuart and the let me do it. I've done that. My kids do that voice all the time. Like if I'm trying to help them with something, my daughter will look at me and be like, "Let me do it," and I'm like, "Okay, all right."
Yes. To the question that was asked, yes, SNL fans do look down on Mad TV.
That's right.
So I did not watch much Mad TV because that would be breaking religion. But Kids in the Hall, the best ever, and also produced by Lorne Michaels.
Sure, it's training camp, Braden. But in the immortal words of Allen Iverson, we talk about practice. Okay, go to Sinker's Beverages, shop there, please. Go to Tennessean.com, read there, please. Come out to Tomato Fest over the weekend, and come on out to the Basement East on Saturday night. We're going to have a lot of fun. $15, charity, birthday party, music, fun, beverages. Come on, it's going to be a great time. If you come on out and come say hi, and I'll buy you a beer. How about that? Otherwise, we'll have a weird schedule. We might even have some extra content for you as it pertains to what's going on Friday night and then the trip out to San Francisco. So I'll see you probably tomorrow night, Nick, and then safe travels. Safe travels. So stay tuned, everybody.
I might be there Saturday, too. Keep an eye out for me. Who knows?
Ooh, that's a tease right there. All right, everybody, have a great one. Go vote. If you haven't voted and you're watching it live, you got about 3 hours. Please go vote. For Nick, I am Braden. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you next time.